Hello, everybody. Welcome to our LVLing Up live webinar, our second in the series. And I'm absolutely honored to be joined today by Nigel Schmalkuche. Oh, I've done it, Nigel.
Hey, well done. Good job.
Who joins us. He's got his own company called Strategic Architects, and he's going to tell us all things enterprise architecture today, which I'm pretty excited about because I know working in digital transformation projects, you need a good EA and a good solution architect too, if you're going to make sure things are done right. So can't wait to rack your brain today, Nigel. But before we do start, do you want to just give us a quick overview of your company, Strategic Architects?
Yeah, Strategic Architects is a Brisbane-based company, and we specialise in doing enterprise architecture and building strategies and the architecture that follows for local government, state government, and some private enterprises. So having a bit of fun, and we're definitely growing like Jazz is as well. So yeah, excellent.
Good to see the Brizzy project management companies growing.
Absolutely.
Now, before I ask you about enterprise architecture, I'm curious to know what gets you up in the morning and gets you started in the day?
Yeah, so what gets me up in the morning? Probably I have to get up, but and I'm over 50, so I've got to go to the bathroom. But that's the first thing that hits me. But getting up in the morning, making a difference in life is always important. Try to get into my work and, helping people as well. So probably because I've got into a career that I enjoy. So I enjoy enterprise architecture, working on strategy and seeing that make a difference in companies and government. And also being able to help people grow in that sort of experience. So I'm over 50 now, so I'm probably more inclined to do a lot of coaching and mentoring and getting people up to speed. So I know about enterprise architecture for a long time, but what I've found is if you can find something that you love and that you're good at, and then just keep working on it to try to make yourself better in that field, you're going to enjoy it every day. So it doesn't seem like Monday doesn't seem like a problem to me. Monday is good as Saturday in a way.
Oh, I love that. I want that slogan. Monday is as good as Saturday. You can make shirts out of that, Nigel.
Yeah.
Oh, that is fantastic. And I completely agree. I think you're even more like the shackles come off when you work for yourself and you can just do the things that you love, mentor people, make change, see it in real life. So I hear you. Now, just disclaimer as well, as a woman in her 30s, 6 months pregnant, I'm also getting up in the morning to go to the bathroom. So I can relate to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Now, as I ask everyone inevitably, I'm just curious to hear about a really memorable project that you've worked on and sort of what stood out to you. What made it a really sort of defining project for you in your career?
Okay. Probably the most memorable would be my very first one, only because it's just stuck with me for the rest of my life. So I was straight out of uni and I got a job with police as a crime stats analyst. And it would have been when you were very young. So I was back in 1990. So I arrived there. I'd been using computers a bit during uni. Then the PC sort of development was starting. I got there, sat at my desk, no computer, a pad. They had an ashtray still those days there. And anyway, I didn't smoke. Anyway, so I sat down. And one of the inspectors come over. He said, "Your first job is to investigate the increase in crime in Cairns." So apparently the crime had just exploded in Cairns. And okay, well, where's my computer? And he said, "Oh, there might be one downstairs." So anyway, so I found that. And I went down to the crime stats area. So there was a big area and there was a lot of paper everywhere. And I went to the guy that was at the front. So he was the officer in charge of stats. I walked up to him and I said, "Can you please download for me the crimes in Cairns for the last few months?" And he said, "Oh, I can't download it, but there's this pile of paper." And it was right up was right up almost to the ceiling. He said, that's the crimes for far northern region for the whole year. So anyway, so I lugged it all. I found the computer. I entered it into this program, DBase. Yeah, DBase 4, I think it was. Yeah. And I entered all it in. And I created these graphs, and you know my work. I sort of like pretty graphs and all that sort of stuff, and descriptions about what happened. And what I found out was it was one person that got out of jail. So we had some data from criminals getting out, etc., and we linked it all together with some location data, and found out as one person escaped jail. So I talked to the inspector. I said, you don't have to send up, 20 investigators to do it. Just the one person. So, and after that, I was able to do this monthly crime stats report, and it got me interested in data, as you know, and presenting results and looking at the bigger picture, which is sort of the strategic sort of side of things. So yeah, it was really memorable because it was just such a shock that, okay, well, you can actually make a difference in this field. And I thought, oh, okay, that's really good. So yeah, some of them called me a smart ass or something, but I enjoyed doing it.
There's so many mind-blowing parts of that story. Firstly, going through a pile of physical documents takes data analysis to another level. Like I always say with my work, start with the data, but if I had a pile that big, I'd probably be very skeptical. So that's totally different worlds. And then as well, like crime statistics and reporting on the monthly, that is like business as usual now, and other sorts of enterprises. And you were sort of, pioneering that, Nigel. So I can see why you've got a love for it.
Yeah, it was really funny because there was this dot matrix printer in one corner, and it'd get entered in somehow, and I'd pump out all these crimes all the time, and those pages were taken downstairs. So it was amazing.
You can just imagine it. It's like a bad sitcom. Now, so you started off as a crime sort of analyst, which sounds like an incredible job, by the way. How long were you there?
Oh, I was there for 3 years, and I did get the chance to teach out at the academy out at Oxley. So that was quite interesting. So that was fun. Although they're pretty tough to deal with. They had plenty of questions. What's happening at headquarters type of thing. And I moved from there into other research stats roles with the Electoral Commission, got into mapping there. And yeah, it took, and then I did project management for 6 years. So it took a fair while for me to get into the field that I'm in today type of thing.
It's a good segue, because that was absolutely going to be my next question, which is, so you've had this, varied career and project management in there. How did you get into enterprise architecture? Yeah,
so enterprise architecture wasn't really talked about too much until probably the 2000s. And I was doing a master's in IT, and they talked about this Zachman framework and etc. This information. So I heard it. I thought this is really interesting, and it was sort of more enterprise wide. So I was thinking, oh, okay, well, this might be something I like, because I like to look at the big picture type of thing. So I came back to my boss, Alex Stephan, Emergency Services. He was a CIO, and I said, oh, I really love to do enterprise architecture. And back then it was more IT. It was, okay, let's have a sort out, all these applications we have, all these technologies, let's get a list together and find out how much they're worth. And we found out there's all this duplication. So back then, enterprise architecture was about, getting the IT world sorted, because there was so much waste and stuff. But now, probably last 5 to 10 years, it's more about the business. It's more about aligning to the business strategic goals. So how can we get IT to better serve the business? And I get involved with like customer experience workshops and design thinking and all these types of things, which is much more sort of beneficial to the business and beneficial to the customer more. So I think that's been a good change in what's happened. So.
That's fantastic. And I think as well, we hear the term digital transformation, a bit of a buzzword, and it's very, corporate language at the moment. But is that kind of the shift that you've seen being in this field for so long? it is now more holistic. It's about the business processes and the change and the architecture that sits behind it. Is it a bit more people-led now?
Yeah, it definitely is people-led. We talk about the people, process, information, technology, but the people part definitely 20 years ago just wasn't considered too much. And quite often, yeah, you probably realize this as a project manager, like quite often the IT would be developed and everything and put out there, but there would be no training, or there'd be no, they wouldn't even provide the right tools for them to use, type of thing. These days, the digital business transformation, which is around the fourth industrial revolution, there's all these technologies and stuff coming in. Give a robotic process automation, blockchain, digital twins, and even virtual reality and all that type of thing. All these things coming in, and the business sort of doesn't know how to deal with those, which ones are important. So what I try to do is try to explain that, what is it, why is it important, what industries it's relevant for, but then actually say utilize those technologies, which ones are important and which ones aren't, because not all of them are suitable for that digital business transformation. So it's about getting together, finding out what they need, and then applying the technologies as a secondary thing. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. I was going to ask sort of what is your process and what do you do, but it sounds like you sort of get into an organization, have a look at what they've got, and then go from there. But I've got a secondary question to that, Nigel, because there'll be people, as we know, a lot of project sponsors often aren't IT people. They're not even in a digital technology type department, but they're responsible for delivering a big technology initiative.
Yep.
They might be going, okay, I know I need a project manager. I may even need a change manager. When do I need an enterprise architect? Who are the best people for you to sort of work with, and are there certain size projects? What are your indicators?
Yeah, well, I think the enterprise architect is best up front, particularly if the enterprise architect is around the strategic angle. So I quite often go in and have a chat to the key sponsor, and even if there's a whiteboard or something, let's map out where we want to go. So where do we want to be at the end of this process? And we map out like it's a straw man type of thing. This is what it is. And then so you get those stakeholder concerns or whatever they're particularly after, and perhaps look at some of the other business leaders as well. There may be some customer experience workshops that they've talked to people already that we can bring it in. So my view is the enterprise architect is at that front early on, because it's no good coming in too late, because then maybe the IT world, they've developed something that looks and sounds good, but it doesn't meet what the business needs. So I always think that the enterprise architect early and the strategic architecture right at that front bit can help later on. Sometimes we get into like a bit of a process of, we get a project manager and change manager, solution architect, and all this sort of stuff, but we really need to gauge at that first bit, what is the problem, what's the solution. Sometimes the solution can be around the people, or it can be the process, and it might be totally different to what we think. So if we collaborate early, find out exactly what we want, then we can then we can get the whole project running. But sometimes I find that from a project manager sort of point of view, sometimes there needs to be that thorough like business case and looking into options to map it out, and people need all that detail. And then we come in after that. So it depends on the project, but there's nothing better than looking and talking to the sponsor and getting that high level where we're trying to get to at the end. So yeah, preferably early, but it can be later when necessary for the end.
I am so glad you said that, Nigel, because it's such a common mistake I see as a project manager, where even when you're involved early, or you come in halfway or at the end, and you just realize that big strategic conversation hasn't happened, and forever the project is chasing their tail and building things that they have to rebuild, or not having the right conversations with the right people. So if you are watching this and you are owning a project and you're at the business case phase, bring in your enterprise architect. Even a high level designer, I imagine, Nigel, would be so beneficial for people. And that's something I talk about as well in my business, which is understanding the true change that you're looking to implement, whether it is on the architecture and technology side or the people side. Having that holistic picture up front sets the scene, sets the project management plan, gets everybody on the same page straight away. So yes, if you're doing a project, call Nigel. You needed an EA on the cards.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So last question for you today. In the project management space, we know it can be, you know, long hours, tireless long hours. You can be juggling multiple projects at once. And so I just love asking people, how do you unwind? What do you do for fun to keep your sanity so that you can stay in this field for, I don't want to do the math on you, Nigel, but over 30 years you've been doing this. What's your secret?
Yeah, well, I've sort of got to a good place now, I think, as far as unwinding. I do table tennis, for instance. I probably already bored you with that.
I love it. I think you should recap that for everybody here.
I love table tennis, and I love doing that and getting involved in that. Also love playing with my kids. I've got a 4-year-old and an 11-year-old. And we've actually started into mini putt, and we're in a mini putt tournament tonight out at Oxley against some PGA guys. Would you believe? So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And they build these huge mini putt in front of golf courses now. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and my 11-year-old in particular loves it. But yeah, what I found is, because I'm a thinking person and I think all day and try to do that, I found mindfulness really handy. So listening to the mindfulness, being able to relax and do that. My son and I have members of Beautiful Minds, which is based in Brisbane as well. So they teach you things like, breathing exercises, which I did before this. Actually, just to make sure there's that clarity. So breathing exercises and being able to relax and enjoy life. So yeah, a big plug for those guys. They're doing a wonderful job. And that sort of gives me that balance, having being able to relax, being able to play sport, and then, work hard as well. So yeah,
Sounds like a lot of balance. So I've taken 2 takeaways from that and the whole conversation, but particularly that there's a mini golf tournament happening in my local neighborhood tonight. And if you've seen any of my posts on social media, I have a golf mad toddler who loves that Oxley mini putt. So we might have to go and watch you guys. So thank you for that. And also mindfulness. So I literally just last weekend did a mindfulness workshop. I was a little skeptical. I thought, I've got such a busy mind. This is not going to work for me. And I've had the most refreshed week this week following that. So I may have to look up that recommendation that you gave.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, that does wrap up all of our questions. Do you want to just, as we sign off, Nigel, give us a bit of a plug for Strategic Architects?
Oh yeah, so yeah, Strategic Architects is a local-based, Brisbane-based consultancy, and we do strategy. So we're looking at that enterprise architecture strategy level, try to align your business goals with IT. But we also help out with doing actual, platforms and architecture patterns and enterprise architecture, and get down to the weeds as well with some solution architecture. We've been doing a lot in the business capability space and trying to align them and bring the organisation or government into speaking one language, so they're all speaking about business capabilities, and then attaching the IT, what the IT needs for that. So I found that really useful, and probably one of the things of the future of using business capability approach for most projects. So yeah, that's us, and yeah, I've enjoyed being on with you, Jasmine. So thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. And I personally recommend Nigel. So if you are looking for an enterprise architect, give Nigel a call, reach out to the team at Strategic Architects. You're just a great guy, Nigel. So you can't go wrong, and you play a mean game of table tennis. So.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining the webinar today. This is recorded, available for everyone to have a look at. And you have any questions at all, please feel welcome to reach out to myself, Jasmine at LVL UP Consulting, or of course the wonderful Nigel as well at Strategic Architects.
Okay.
Thanks everybody.
Thank
See you
you.
next time.
Bye.